Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm really excited for this video because I haven't done this in such a long time. Today we're going to be talking about some Halloween murders. Some of them are super brutal, like triggering, but I'll let you know when those are coming. Those are like towards the end. It's really bad, but I don't want to hold back. I want this to be spooky and I want this to be crazy. So the first story I have for you guys is about a guy who kills his girlfriend over a missing bag of Halloween candy. On Chicago's South Side in 2011, 55-year-old Little Peoples blamed his girlfriend for stealing his bag of Halloween candy. They started to fight, and then 49-year-old Maria Adams threw a plate at his head which hit him above the eye and caused a really huge gash. He immediately grabbed a knife, chased her, stabbed her multiple times, killing her. Now that's just a little dramatic, you know? That's like, just go to the store, get Halloween candy, like it's there, you know what I mean? Like there's more. There's always more. So the next story I have actually set off a myth that we still hear to this day, which is basically the myth that there's like razor blades, poison, screws, like all kinds of just shit in your candy because people are out to hurt or kill children. So I did my research and apparently that's not really a thing. Like there hasn't been any cases of someone dying because of tainted candy that they got from Halloween, but there is one incident and this is it. A father poisons his son with Halloween candy. In 1974 in Texas, a father poisoned his son's pixie sticks with cyanide with the intent of killing him. He killed his son so he could collect on an insurance policy. The father, Ronald Clark O'Brien, was so deep in debt, so he decided to climb out of that hole by killing his son. I know that's already crazy, but here's the fucking most craziest part. He bought the cyanide, sprinkled it in pixie sticks, stapled them shut, and handed them out to his son, his daughter, and 3 other neighborhood kids, just so he wouldn't look suspicious. So he gave it to 5 kids. 3 of them weren't even his. His plan was to kill them all and then blame the neighbor. After trick-or-treating, his 11-year-old son finally ate the cyanide. He complained that the pixie sticks tasted bitter, not good. He soon began vomiting uncontrollably and died before he reached the hospital. O'Brien was found guilty of murder and died of lethal injection, thus earning him the name Candyman and the man who killed Halloween. Imagine your legacy being that guy's, like, you try to kill your kids, you try to kill other kids, and you just like fucked up Halloween for everyone, you know what I mean? That sucks. That is so crazy. So the next story I have for you guys is a 7-year-old boy was shot to death while he was trick-or-treating. 7-year-old Tony Bagley was wearing a skeleton costume and trick-or-treating with his sister, mother, and aunt early on Halloween night in 1994 on the north side of Las Vegas. A man in a hooded sweatsuit leaped out of nowhere and fired at the entire family. The man jumped into a getaway car and drove off with the lights off so no one saw where he went. The bullets hit Tony's sister in the liver, his aunt in the leg, and his mother in the chest, but they all survived. Tony did not. His biological father, who never made a comment on Tony's death, was arrested years later for an unrelated street shooting. So today, Tony's murder still remains unsolved. So this next story is a serial killer cuts a girl into 3 pieces and buries her. Yeah, that sounds like a lot. Like many males that grow up to be serial killers or killers in general, they had a really traumatic childhood. Richard Begenwald? Richard had a very traumatic childhood. He was beaten all the time. He just grew up with a lot of trauma. Very early on, he displayed psychotic behavior. At 5 years old, he set fire to his family's house. He was drinking alcohol by the time he was 8, and at 9 he was already receiving electroshock therapy. And at 11 years old, he attempted to set himself on fire. One of his estimated 5 murders happened on Halloween in 1981. 17-year-old Maria had been trick-or-treating late at night. Shortly after midnight, a patrolman had seen her walking alone on Route 88 in the direction of her house. Around 10 minutes later, he had turned around to offer her a ride, but when he went back, she was already gone. Her corpse was later found chopped into 3 pieces and buried in the yard of his mother's home on Staten Island. See, this is why I don't like going anywhere alone. People judge me because I always want people to come with me to places, but this is what I mean. I'm just saying. So this one's pretty crazy. This one's pretty brutal. If you're triggered by rape, don't watch this. So this next story I have is a teen allegedly rapes an elderly nun and stabs her to death. His name is Johnny Lee Garrett. From all available evidence, he had been tortured as a kid. He endured a brutal childhood. He was going through physical torture that ultimately rendered him psychotic and brain damaged. After examining him, a psychologist said that Garrett's life story was, and I quote, "one of the most violent histories of abuse and neglect I have encountered in 28 years of practice." In 1981, when Garrett was 17, a 76-year-old nun from Texas was raped and stabbed to death in the early morning of Halloween. Garrett's fingerprints were found on the nun's headboard. In a statement that he refused to sign, police quote him as confessing to the murder. He said, "There was a nun in bed and she acted as if she was going to scream. I covered her mouth so she couldn't make any noise. I started choking her until she passed out. I had sex with her. I left the convent the way I came in." He later denied the murder and instead changed his story and said that he had just burglarized the place a few days before Halloween. Still, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. Although it seemed like such an open and shut case, there were things that happened afterwards that made things kind of weird. So not only did a prosecutor kill himself, they also found out that one of the forensic investigators had been falsifying evidence for quite a long time for many cases. And there was a convicted murderer who confessed to the rape and killing of the nun. The doubt was so formidable that even the Pope petitioned the Texas governor to hold off on killing Garrett, but they still ended up executing him in 1992. Wow, this video was crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was very interesting. It was really interesting for me. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and thank you so much for watching. Make sure you share with your friends. If you don't want to, that's fine. Make sure to follow all of my social media. Everything's down there. Comment down below what your favorite story was, or if you know a different story, comment it down below because I read all your comments. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, then what did you expect? Anyways, I love you guys and I will see you guys when I see you guys. Adios, bitchachos.
Do you love me?